Welcome back to the Palmcore Podcast. We have an emergency Oscar edition due to the Gene Hackman situation that's unfolding as we speak. Well, I guess in some ways it unfolded already. And as if that's not enough, we also are joined by Suzanne Clayton, who couldn't make our previous Oscars 2025 taping. So, Suzanne, welcome back.
Damn glad to be here.
It's easier to get here when you've actually been invited.
Right. There was some logistical. The AIs, I still blame the AIs are not good enough. They should be better at appointment setting. They should handle everything for us. They should have done more meeting prep, but the AIs are still not where they need to be. But Megan, Grant, we're hoping can make it back, but we've been covering this pretty actively this week. What's your take on Oscars 2025? This is certainly the most time I've ever spent thinking about the Oscars before the Oscars.
Is it? I think that some people are cynically trying to get into that in Memoriam, with these late-breaking tragic,
Right. Because, we did talk about that the other day because we're trying to forecast the Oscars. And one of the things we mentioned was the In Memoriam.
You got a little bit spooky there and may have brought some of this on because you were kind of,
I was talking about, we were talking about Conclave and we were talking about Francis. And we were hoping that Francis would make it through the weekend, and I did have like a vision of Conan Schwarzenegger. Conan is the big Irish guy. Got it. I had a premonition, like, what if the College of Cardinals, there's smoke coming out over there as he's reading Best Actor and he reads Ralph Fiennes. That was my Conclave joke.
I like that you called him Ralph Fiennes.
I thought so, right? Because
how that's pronounced, or
Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes, but I was saying
Ray.
Conan would make that joke, but he probably won't read Best Actor. None of that matters. Suzanne, I'm the voice of the low information Oscar fan, where I don't think I've seen any
kind of Oscar fan.
Suzanne wipes the floor with us every year in our Oscar pool somehow.
Yeah, don't overcharacterize it. She does well, Pretty good there.
What, 5 times? And I think I've won all 5. So.
What is winning really though? It's 2025.
I always say everybody wins when you do an Oscar pool, when you try to guess the winners.
The only way to lose is not to play. It's an inverse War Games kind of thing, so get your submissions in. But Suzanne, you've seen some.
Talking about the movies, yeah.
Walk us through that. And then we'll get into Gene Hackman. Because, people really want to get into the Gene Hackman, but, we did do some prognosticating, some look aheads. I think Honora got some more love. I wound up more pro Honora just in terms of the vibe based on the conversation. More Demi Moore, Adrian Brody, and also the Brutalist and the Conclave. Those 3 were kind of the main ones. And then there was some Wicked hate, I feel.
Who hated Wicked? I haven't seen it.
Well, I think Kim McShane did a great job. She kind of held it down. I feel like if we had you and Kim together, we could have gotten a good place because you would have seen some of the movies.
I haven't seen Wicked per se, but I also have not seen the stage show that it's based on.
Yes.
But I do know that it's only half a movie. So for me, we got to cut the Oscar in half and give the first half to Wicked Part 1.
Yes.
Got to give the second half of that Oscar to Dune Part 2. And
yeah.
Hollywood's hot shots that, make a whole movie. Yeah. Guys, you want to win an award.
And also, let's run the awards through the blockchain so we can do some fractional award distribution, where everybody gets a taste, But Suzanne, what are your high-level impressions? Like, what have you seen? What do you like? What do you think's going to happen? And I've already caveated yesterday that people should not over-trust what you talk about because, like all great sophists, you'll mix your lies with the truth.
I'm not giving away my magic here. I'm not giving away.
Right.
I'm not just going to give the game away, but.
Yeah.
All right. What did I like? Okay. Wicked did not see.
Yeah.
Substance do not want to see because it looks really gross.
Yeah. Although Demi, I still don't know how to pronounce that one. She got some love. People were thinking maybe Best Actress.
Grant had seen it.
Yeah.
Grant, my tennis partner, the guy I play tennis with, he really liked The Substance, and Brianna wants to watch it, so I will probably watch that. Yeah. I'm still here. I don't even know what this movie is. Do you?
That's the Dylan one.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet.
He's in everything, though.
He's in 2. He gets 2 Best Picture
He
noms.
won the SAG award for that one.
And if he wins, he will displace Adrian Brody as the youngest Best Oscar winner ever. That was trivia for those of you paying attention.
Wow.
Trivia from our previous episode.
Oscar history in the making. Amelia Perez, has anybody seen that? Did Lisa watch that one?
No, your mom did though, right? Didn't you say your
She
mom?
loved it. I may have to watch it.
And
but-
just to be clear for our listeners, there is a hidden Lisa Redick episode that we probably are not going to drop, but we did record an emergency 10 minutes with Lisa yesterday. So we may reference that conversation, and our premium members may get access to that.
I trust Lisa's opinion more than anybody else's on musicals. So I'm really interested to see what she has to say about that one, but I have not seen it. Do not particularly want to see it because it sounds terrible.
There was a lot of that. Harrison Bender, who was on with you last year, that was kind of his take. Like, there's a lot of like, it's not going to do well, although it is up for Best Foreign Film, right? Or I don't know what you call it.
Because it's like
It
the
is.
only one nominated for, it should.
It
win.
seemed like it's a way for folks to kind of appease, you
It's
know.
in a country that's has the 5th biggest population of native Spanish speakers in the world. You think that they could produce, create, and actually it was a French film. So here in Spain, people blame the French for what.
And I think Kim was a fan of Zoe Saldana, so she thought, I think, Zoe had a shot.
The only 2 I've actually seen of the Best Picture nominees are Conclave and Dune Part 2.
You saw Dune Part 2. Thoughts on that one?
So I had to watch Dune Part 1 the night before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had any idea what's going on
Yeah.
because I was not a fan of like the series and I've never watched any of the previous things.
Yeah.
You never watched the Lynch version?
I think my wife made me watch that. And it
The one that I would recommend is Jodorowsky's Dune, which is a documentary about Jodorowsky making Dune, and he never made
Trying.
it.
Yeah.
that's nice.
But his
Very
like,
entertaining.
yeah, and it's got a lot of like storyboards and sketches. It's kind of the Sagrada Familia of Dunes.
My take on Dune Part 2 is, it was a good half of a movie. It doesn't stand on its own like we were talking about Lord of the Rings in the screen room where you missed all the really good content if you're listening now. But, each of those films, the Lord of the Rings films, Hobbit aside, they're each based on like a separate book and they kind of stand on their own as well, a lot better than I thought, like Dune Part 1 or Dune Part 1. I'm just like not knowing what this story is or where it's going. It's like, this is not a whole movie. And the same thing is true for Dune Part 2.
Which was your take on Wicked. So you're standing by your guns there.
I
Is
haven't seen Wicked, but I assume
it's like a half.
Yeah, like a half a good movie. And Conclave was, I guess it's a whole good movie, but I thought it might have maybe had some third act
Issues.
problems.
That's interesting. We talk about problems in Conclave and suddenly Grant appears. Hi, Grant.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, welcome. Or that was Buster Keaton.
That's Buster Keaton in The Navigator. That's Vivian Lee in Ship of Fool.
Oh, wow. We're working some backdrops. Suzanne was just talking about Conclave. If you were to prognosticate those, Suzanne, if you were to take a stab at what's going to happen, it sounded like coming out of our preliminary conversations, The Brutalist has a shot, Conclave has a shot, and Nora, maybe an outside shot. What's your take on that?
I don't think any of those movies, well, some of them I haven't seen, so it's too early to tell, but I think they missed a lot of really good pictures to nominate. I thought Challengers was really good.
And Kim loved Nickel Boys.
I
We
haven't
talked
seen it,
about
but
that a bit.
Oh, we know it's not going to win.
But we know it's not
it's
going
not
to
gonna
win. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like Challengers a lot. I like Civil War a lot.
Civil War.
It really got snubbed, huh?
Forgot all about that. Not even like best sound mixing or like just toss him a bone. I didn't see it anywhere. Yeah.
It was
And if
too
I pick
soon,
the-
I think.
I think the best movie of last year was Better Man, Robbie Williams' biopic. It was really good. I described it as like, it was to fame what Train Spotting was to heroin. So it's kind of a surrealist, not very flattering picture of like, life of extreme fame. And I thought it was really clever and well done. It had some cute like choreography and
And you're not referring to Irene Cara's fame. Okay.
The fact that Americans don't really
no, we don't know who
turn their back on Robbie Williams.
You don't
Yeah.
get to know who Robbie Williams is to enjoy Better Man. So I
So
think
you
that
would
was-
say Better Man over the Dylan picture, which you haven't seen.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, unquestionably, without seeing it, I can tell it's a better movie.
It's also, we try to be cooler than the Oscars. I mean, Megan talked through like 25 Douglas Sirk films on our previous episode. I mean,
One by
you know,
one.
like there's some gangster credibility, hopefully, to our recommendations here. Any other thoughts? Best actor? Did you see any of the animated? Did you see Inside Out 2?
I thought
Or
Flo, that was really cute. That had a kitty.
I've heard that.
Flow
like
was
it.
awesome, right?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's
Flo was
very
really nice.
escapist.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Nice.
had a kitty. So,
Yeah, it's definitely, add a star if you're a cat fancier,
hell yeah.
or lemurs, right? Best
And
animated
ring-tailed-
lemurs since
ring-tailed lemurs,
Madagascar,
yeah.
right?
Hell yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And then best actor, actresses, anything interesting to share there? Because we want to get into Hackman. People are here to speculate irresponsibly about Gene Hackman and talk about his body of work. We didn't know that was coming the other day. But any other thoughts on other nominees? Anything else? Oscars? Conan probably won't get slapped, right?
He's a big guy. It would be
Yeah.
really
You'd have
difficult
to
to
reach
reach
up.
all the way up there and slap him.
Ooh.
And also, I think I'd be really intimidated to slap Conan O'Brien.
Do you think maybe just for like the ritual, like Roland Barthes semiology of it, they hire Kevin Hart to jump up and smack Conan just
That
so
would be
that we
great.
can work through our feelings as a culture?
You pick Kevin Hart because he's like 5'1" or something.
Yeah, and also he's willing to do that type of thing. I think it'd be,
I think that'd be a funny.
if everyone is still working it through, I think we're all traumatized because we experienced it together. But I think most people have moved on because so many terrible things have happened since then.
I think it's still filed away in like the COVID suppression period because it was still when we were not
Yeah.
remembering things. Like we're kind of like putting that away. But that was crazy because we were in our WhatsApp chat
hmm
in real time
We didn't know if
I
it was
missed
fake
it.
or not. Remember
when the
We were
slap
all-
happened.
We were all like, "Is this choreographed or is this like impromptu?" And we
It
were
was
Yeah.
like
We
it
were
was like
thinking
a
it was
real
fake.
time group chat
Yeah.
Zapruder film. Crazy.
It was
Crazy.
a different time back then. We were
Yeah.
so
Clear
young.
times.
We were
Right.
so young and naive back then.
So we would do our flashback sequence now. I think
I get-
Pomcore podcast trivia note. Grant and I recorded with Joanne Dramko and Troy Winfrey the same night. We recorded prior
Oh wow, yeah.
to the slap.
So
And
that was an Oscar show, clandestine.
clandestine. And then Grant, I don't think you were watching in real time.
I was kind of flicking back and forth,
Yeah.
so I'd seen it, but I did not see the actual slap take place.
Yeah.
So I saw everything leading up to it, and then I looked away for a second.
It reminded
Like,
me a
no, that
little
didn't
bit
happen.
of the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake wardrobe malfunction. It was
Yeah.
the same kind of thing, except that one, people didn't know whether they saw something.
I have to say, I knew it was a real slap, but maybe that comes from my dysfunctional childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it was a real snap. It was a real slap.
It was like a Dianetic slap too. I think they teach you that in the church.
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
feel like there was some subtext.
Like
And I'm not
muscle
talking
memory.
the
I'm
conclave
gonna
church.
smack those ingrams right the fuck out of you, right?
That's
Like,
right. That's right. His ot meter was off the chart when this stuff went down. This is the Scientology portion of the conversation. I mean, if you're talking Oscars, you should probably talk
gotta talk
Scientology.
Scientology.
Let's be for real here.
Are there any Scientologists who were nominated?
That's an
Got
excellent
it.
question. We'll get our crack research staff on that, I'm sure. And Gene Hackman probably was not a Scientologist. His wife might have been. But shall we? Are we ready to go there? I think it might be time to talk Gene
We're ready.
Hackman and then to talk. There's two things we're talking about. There's two segments. There's a Gene Hackman in memoriam respecting his oeuvre. And then there's what the hell just happened? What's going on with the
Irresponsible
dogs?
conspiracy.
What happened out there? That's what I've been referring to as our Malaysian Airlines missing jumbo liner component of Palmcore podcast. We may be covering that for the next 3 or 4 months. But where do we want to start? Do we want to start true crime or do we want to talk in memoriam?
I'd say in memoriam for sure.
Yeah.
He's
All right.
He
one
was
of
a
our
late
most important
bloomer.
actors.
He was a late
Yes.
bloomer. He really started when he was in his 30s. That's unusual. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. He's like 41 years older than me. So he was like 41 in 1970. So like French Connection, which I just saw. My barber had the French Connection on a couple hours ago. Yeah, I had to fix it a little bit. I'm still working on this. Like I got the comb over, but it's not bad. I'd say I give him a B minus, and he's the alpha barber. So, that's like an A, But the chase sequence, the car chasing the subway in the French Connection, and Gene Simmons, I'll leave that one
Also,
in.
Gene
Gene
Simmons.
Simmons is our top ranked Gene now.
Somebody's gonna check on all the members of KISS right now. Peter Criss, I don't know how old he is, but has anybody seen him lately?
It's true.
I wouldn't know.
But Gene Hackman, his body of work, I mean, where do we rank his performances? Like, he was a working actor 60s through the 90s with pretty serious range. He played a wide variety of humans, and I don't think he was ever in a
He was
Godfather.
never in Godfather, no.
I mean, The Conversation was Francis Ford Coppola's
Yeah.
first major film.
Right.
And that scene, like the opening scene of The Conversation, where
Is that-
he's a detective and the
Yeah.
mime kind of is exposing him, and it's just this wide shot. It's brilliant. The
It's like
Conversation,
a documentary that I mean, I just love it. I think that everyone should watch that movie.
and it's all about sound because that's kind of Coppola's background, and there's like interesting like surveillance. It's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's like mandatory voyeurism.
Yeah.
Talking about range, because you mentioned his range, and he played the voice of God in a 1983 gem called Two of a Kind, starring Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. You can't get better than that.
So they got it back together. They go together like shubop, shabop, badop, bibbity bop, da bop, right? I mean,
Fast
like
of
they,
Grease, basically, with Gene Hackman.
With John Travolta in Blowout, which I think
Yes.
was the visual version of the whole
Of-
thing, where it's like the photograph.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
was
forgot
like
about
the based on the Cortázar story because there's the other movie. What's it
Brian
called?
De Palma too, right?
Yeah.
The British version of that, which is very interesting.
Played Popeye, of course. There's only two
Popeye.
actors that played Popeye, and he's one of them.
Popeye Doyle, right?
He played Popeye Doyle, and then Robin Williams played. I don't know if Popeye has a last name regular.
Right. And this is a
Let's say it
shout out to Mark Sanders, who asked me to qualify what I was talking about when I was talking about going to Poughkeepsie to pick my feet. That was a reference to the line that Popeye Doyle would say when he would run and get into someone he's interrogating's face, and he would say, "What have you been doing? I've been hearing you've been picking your feet in Poughkeepsie." And then they're all thrown off, and he keeps interrogating them. So I'm debating. I need to figure out my travel schedule, but I'm thinking about going up to Poughkeepsie to pick my feet in honor of Gene Hackman, gone too soon.
That's a great idea.
Beautiful.
You know, follow me on the Instas and the socials. You'll see all there's going to be a big production around me
Holy
picking my feet
Poughkeepsie.
in Poughkeepsie.
I was wondering, did you all notice that he stopped being in movies in 2004? Because I don't think I knew that
He
he.
just walked away. Yeah, he was one of
I
the guys like
had no
retired, and
idea.
that's it. Yeah, good.
I mean, and by then he was, I guess, in his 70s.
Didn't quite miss him, but
Mm.
he's unassuming in his roles. In
Yeah.
general.
Well, I loved him in Young Frankenstein. I feel like that's the one, just because it's Young Frankenstein, and it's just him and Peter Boyle, which is another example of the brilliance of 1970s Mel Brooks, is that apparently they played tennis together, Gene Wilder and Gene Hackman. And Mel Brooks was friends, obviously, with Gene Wilder, and who was basically helping him. They made Young Frankenstein together. But that's how he got Gene Hackman into that role as the blind man. Oh my God. Such a good, and that's like a cameo. That was like his best
It was a really good
cameo
cameo, yeah.
performance. Yeah. Yeah.
Royal Tenenbaums as well, which was one of his
Oh, I
last.
forgot that.
Yes.
He was so good in Royal Tenenbaums.
And Hoosiers for
I never
your,
saw it, but yeah. okay.
oh, Hoosiers is pretty legendary because he's the coach in Hoosiers and Poseidon Adventure,
Yeah, really good.
you know,
Mississippi Burning.
and
He
definitely.
kind of made the Superman movies. He was the best villain.
And did
yeah.
he win an Oscar for that, or
He won
And
an Oscar for Unforgiven, the West.
Oh, he was so good in Unforgiven. The
Very
Suck
good.
of
'Cause he's-
Death, right?
because he won 2 Oscars, right? He nominated 5 times.
French Connection.
Got
yeah.
it. So he won for Popeye Doyle. Yeah.
And then
And lots of other nominations. Bonnie and Clyde. I never sang for my father, which I've never seen. I don't know. if you
Right.
know.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde, he was great. So he got nominated but didn't win for
Mhm.
Bonnie and Clyde. That makes sense.
I,
All right,
I
and
don't
then-
remember a bad performance by him. So he's one of these actors that, like, if he's in the movie, it's definitely going to make it better, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people like Crimson Tide, which I don't think I saw. And then he did a bunch of Grisham movies. Enemy of the State's the other one that people, speaking of slaps, he co-starred with Will Smith in Enemy of the State. which is kind of like zeitgeisty Y2K kind of spy thing.
Was that a Tom Clancy?
Yeah, was that one of the ones that like Harrison Ford was in or something?
Well, because he did a
got
bunch of like
8 of
Tom,
those around
he
there.
did like Tom Clancy and he did like John Grisham too. There was a period in the 90s where I think he was just kind of, cashing checks and doing those types of things.
Then he did the Get Shorty and the Birdcage in there.
Yeah.
Shorty in the Birdcage, right? He played
Right.
the conservative
Yeah,
douchebag
right.
guy. Yeah,
The
really
senator.
good.
And then getting back to In Memoriam, I mean, David Lynch was probably last. Was there anyone else who we're forgetting about?
Donald Sutherland died this year, right?
Yes,
He's a big
right.
deal.
The Dowager, she's a dame from Downton Abbey.
You got
Maggie Smith,
you got
Yeah,
Harry
sure.
Potter films.
she'll be in there. But you got to figure he's got the last slot, right?
But he's got the drama. He's got the mystery, I mean,
Yeah. So have we done enough?
that's our attention with this.
Have we done
film.
enough on the
Yeah.
authentic,
Yeah, we gotta turn to
impassioned
the true crime.
fans?
Turn
Can we
to the
talk
script.
true crime? Okay, we're now entering the true crime
Yeah.
segment.
I just wanted to say, speaking of true crime, other like Oscar related deaths. I was just reading the other day about Natalie Wood,
Mm.
I've forgotten that Christopher Walken was like the other guy.
He was on the boat.
He was on the
Kinds of
boat.
weird stuff.
And
Yeah.
now he's on Severance.
Christopher Walken. Did he ever
And
win an
Robert
Oscar?
Good
Wagner?
question.
Oh.
And I do not know.
I think Robert Wagner was Natalie Wood's beau at some point.
Yeah, it was during the boat thing. There was a boat involvement.
There was a boat. They were all on the boat. Robert
Yeah.
Wagner, Christopher Walken, and Natalie Wood. Her Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken and Splendour's captain Dennis Davern. So
Okay, so it was Robert Wagner. Heart to Heart. TV's
Yeah.
Heart to Heart.
Heart to heart.
Remember
Mhm.
Freeway the dog? Freeway is so cute. I was a fan of Freeway.
Freeway
Did,
the dog was on Heart to Heart. I remember Max.
Yeah,
Max, he kept them. He took care
Max and Freeway were tight. Yes,
of them.
yes, exactly.
My name is Max. And take care of them both or whatever.
He's the chauffeur, right? Yeah,
Yeah, he's
Um,
a chauffeur and so much more.
yeah,
much.
exactly. I mean, to just peg him as a chauffeur is really not to respect Max's oeuvre. He was kind of the Gene Hackman of Heart to Heart. Is the way I would always
Kinda
think of
was.
him. So what's the latest? Speaking of dogs, there you go. See what I did? A professional segue right there.
Very controversial.
Yeah. Oh, PETA, don't at me. I'm just reporting the facts.
So I
Yeah.
browsed through ChatGPT when I talked to it earlier about this.
Yeah.
The dog is thought to have died after the
3 dogs, 1 dead in a closet. We got the wife dead in the bathroom with bottle of prescription
don't like the
pills and
dog
some
story.
spilled. Hackman is in the mudroom,
In the bathroom, the heater is tipped
but
over.
Hackman's in the mudroom with Professor Plum and the lead
But he
pipe,
has
right?
no contusions or anything. At least that's what I
Any
was told.
abrasions? I don't know.
Who knows? We don't
I mean,
know. And they
also
don't tell us.
bruising in general.
I was
so
in a
he's
work
very, very
meeting
cool.
where this became the topic rather than actual
Of
work.
course, this is
And,
the Malaysian airliner.
A theory was put forward, not by me,
Yeah.
that it was a heart attack coupled by a panic to call 911, which led to a
And
fall.
how does the dog die?
And then the dog was in the crate in the closet. And
But
just
the dog
never
eats
fed.
the pills, right? Because the pills
I
are
don't know.
spilled.
The pills are around the lady, but I think the dog
We
was
don't
in the
even know what
closet.
the pills were. But then ChatGPT said the dog was by the front door. So I don't even know. I don't
ChatGPT
even know
lies.
what's-
Lies. Filthy liar.
Yeah.
And was the
But
dog
I-
a golden retriever or was the dog
I
German?
mean, I think I may need to have ChatGPT make a game of Clue based on the Hackman death right now. Like, I think that would be pretty interesting. Was it the wife? It was probably the wife in the bathroom with the pills. Because but then, and he's disoriented. She's dead with the dog. I don't know what's going on with the dog. Dog maybe starvation.
Yeah, I think the dog was sad.
But she dies or falls and hits her head on the space heater. She's out on the floor. Hackman is distressed. He's already maybe, dementia, whatever. He starts to go down to take his walk, but he's kind of losing his shit. And then the dog is starvation. Yeah, I think that's a concept, right, for this crime scene.
It sounds plausible for sure. It sounds crazy enough to be a good conspiracy for the internet. I think you're onto something.
Well, speaking of conspiracies for the internet, though, right? Going back to David Berkowitz and somehow the dogs are involved.
Dogs are always involved. aren't
Isn't the dog was in a crate in the bathroom and it was a German Shepherd.
they? Wait,
Okay.
you said it was a golden retriever.
It's a fluid
He said,
situation,
but-
Suzanne. This is rapidly developing. We were trying to figure out, could we get someone to Santa Fe? Do you know the way? Oh no, that's San Jose.
I think we need to get somebody in Santa Fe and somebody picking their toes in Poughkeepsie, don't you think?
Yeah.
Exactly. Probably. And then there were 2 dogs that were outside, right?
Yes. There are 3 dogs. It could be dogs somehow.
Any cats?
I don't feel like you should own that many dogs when you're 95 years old. I'm just going to go on the record and say that's a bad idea.
Yeah. And apparently they were pretty involved in Santa Fe, like art patrons.
It sounded like they had shuffled off their mortal coil quite some time ago too. They were like, I don't want to get too disgusting, but yeah, this happened a while ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was some decomposition, etc. I heard the word mummification. Shout out to Brandon
It's dry
Fraser.
there. Very
Yeah.
dry. New Mexico.
Right. But anyways, we're still covering this. Suzanne, we didn't get your, any other thoughts on In Memoriam? Anybody else who passed? We were also speculating on how they figure out who goes when in the In Memoriam montage.
I think it should be either you got to go either by age, alphabetically, or by how they died. Like a more
Ooh.
interesting death. If you're going to put the deaths up there like on the screen,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting, and then you get more progressively more interesting death.
Oh my God. I think maybe they could be staged too. Like if they didn't have the actual footage. Because I remember that. Remember there used to be like those like Japanese films, like
Yes.
pop culture
I
films. It was like peaked when like Tiger Woods.
But with
Uh,
AI, we can bring those back easily. Just a
Yes.
recreation, a reenactment of all the death.
Exactly.
You
Be
know-
like picture in picture where you have their performance and then like an inset of how that's a little macabre, or as I like to say, macabre.
David went on the fire.
Yes. Well, it sounded like he had to be evacuated, and that kind of made his health more fragile because he had the emphysema. We're forgetting some important deaths this year. James
Yeah.
Earl Jones,
Oh,
John Dow. I mean, these would have been major deaths.
wow.
Bob Newhart, was that this year? God, this is
I
long
know.
Right.
Bob Newhart wasn't this year.
I
was
mean,
it?
JEJ is pretty up there, right? I mean, like that's James Earl
Gina,
Jones.
Gina Rollins.
Sure. Academy Award winner, right?
Well,
Another
this is the longest fucking year, guys.
Wow.
I'm totally
these
counting her
people-
as a Gene.
Although
Carl
does Gene-
Weathers.
hang on, does Gene Hackman not qualify? Do they have to save him for next year's Oscars because
Oh.
it's for the year? No, I think this supersedes, right?
No, they had time to get him in there.
Like, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Like, I
Right.
think from now to the ceremony, anybody who dies is not going to be included.
Really? No.
I don't know.
It depends on who it is. I really
It
think
depends.
They're
Yeah.
professional. They're professionals working on the montage. There's no strike right now, right? So there's somebody there's somebody on call this weekend. Because it's not a lot. They had a couple of clips, right? Like it's not,
yeah.
and they probably have it ready, right?
I don't think it's even clips. They just show the name. So how hard is that? It's PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint.
They just show the
presentation.
name. They show the name and maybe like a still of them in a roll, probably, right?
They have everybody's names in it. They just take names out, So they have all the actors and all the people in the film industry already in memoriam.
Yeah.
It's a matter of reducing
Right.
it down every year.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised in a room of such Oscar expertise as we are that we don't know how the In Memoriam
Right.
runs even.
Yeah. Let us know.
Yes,
Let us
yes.
know, listeners. We need
Put
your
it in the
help,
comments.
Obi-Wan.
What about the
Please.
New York Times where they have the obits kind of pre-written? They just have, here's your 10 seconds,
Right.
Yeah, that would be good.
30-second version.
Yeah.
Why not?
And you do get pushed in the
Drop it in.
Deadpool direction once Gene Hackman goes, because then you're like, who else would go and who else would sort of disrupt
Nobody's
the In Memoriam more? Because like he did die at a very opportune, like on a Wednesday before a Sunday In Memoriam. That's plenty of time to get it together. If we lose someone over the weekend, and these things come in threes, right? Was he already part of a 3?
Well,
don't think
Michelle
so. So I-
Trachtenberg,
Oh,
the
right.
lead,
yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if
She
she was
was
in the
39.
film.
But she was still like pop
got the
culturally big enough deal. That's like a 2.
It's a 2 for sure.
That's where, like, I mean, I don't want to bring up Pope Francis again, but I did it. There, I did it. Like,
Has
that
any
would be
pope
3.
ever been in a movie that we know of, a film?
Nah.
Any pope?
Well, I mean, there was a fake Pope in Foul Play with Chevy Chase, who was excellent. That was excellent fake popery.
Actual Pope been in a film.
He seemed like a Pope. He reminded me of like
John
Benedict.
Paul II might have been,
Hmm.
footage of John Paul II would have been in the background of something.
I mean,
And
George Burns.
on a
George
TV
Burns'
screen.
God was basically
Yeah.
the Pope, right?
I think we should go and like on the record right here, right now, pick for the Deadpool, like who the third one's going to be. I'm going to pick Dustin Hoffman right now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to pick a big name, not the stupid Pope. You got to pick a real actor.
Okay, I got one. It's a reverse jinx, but I'm going to pick Mel Brooks.
Oh,
Oh,
Because he's tough enough that I can do it. That's why I'm saying this is to you, Mel. He can handle it.
You're making me sad.
It inoculates you. You can guess anybody now.
yeah. I mean,
well,
look,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
got to be Pacino.
oh, nice.
Okay. Hooah.
Grab what you think.
I don't know.
You got to pick. You got to pick.
Ooh, man. I feel like I need to go against the grain. Go for
yeah.
somebody big. I don't know. Like
Dick Van Dyke's right out there, Grant. I'm just saying.
No. I refuse to pick Dick. I'm thinking somebody younger. Thinking like a William H. Macy, maybe.
Oh,
Oh,
man, that was
yeah.
a heartbreaker.
It's all of our hearts,
Oh, it's a dry eye in the house. Come on.
One of those comes true, then I don't
Yeah.
know, buy a lottery ticket or something.
But yeah,
That's
retroactively.
when I predicted Ariana Grande because she has been looking very
Right.
frail.
Oh,
She has, yeah.
what if a nominee goes? Wow. Yeah, that's a great one, Megan.
Isabella Rossellini. That would be
Wow,
no
this is
to my
like-
eyes. That would be the lynch.
I feel
people
like
would just
we should either like destroy this
Just like that.
tape or it's going to become like a hot item. It's one or
Yeah.
the other. Nowhere in between.
What if everybody we mentioned dies? Jesus.
All right, we wish nothing. We wish no ill. Francis, I hope you clear up. Lighten up, Francis. I think his kidney's doing better last I heard. So sounds like the Pope will make it. Conclave, maybe Conclave.
It's a conservative pick.
Maybe
Eh?
the Brutalist. Maybe.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Honora, maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Amelia Perez still. I don't really
That would
know.
be, that feels, yeah.
It feels like
don't
it's not
think
going to
we can-
happen.
Yeah.
It was going to happen, is what I felt.
Yeah.
Not after all the controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, look at us. We're doing it 2 years in a row, and now this year with bonus coverage.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
serious.
last year it was completely obvious who was going to win the best picture. And this year, I literally have no idea. who's
You're
gonna win.
being pretty coy. So like, I feel like in terms of the fantasy Oscar picks, you're trying to throw people off your trail. I understand.
Yeah,
You're kind
but, means you're doing the Monte Carlo.
you're like the golden retriever on the Hackman's estate. Right now, you're just trying to act like everything's cool. Don't pay any attention to me. I understand.
If I had to go out on a limb and pick something right now, I don't know. Honora, why not?
Nice. That's lit. I'm
Put down. I'm writing
That's
it
like
down.
low information voters are big on Honora. You heard it here first.
Nora.
All right. Any closing remarks? We're going to wrap it up here, folks. This has been awesome. Suzanne, thanks so much for coming back. It's becoming like a
My
tradition.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Very
Nosferatu
excited.
was robbed.
Nosferatu was robbed. You heard it here first. Flow's good for the kids. Also, the
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit. Did you see that
Oh,
one?
yeah, it looks really good. I wouldn't see that. But
That
I'm
was
not-
pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Inside Out 2, is that good too?
That was good. Yeah, that's probably going to win. Lisa, again, in our
Okay.
in our bonus emergency pod that no one's going to see with Lisa Redick, she was, as a social worker, a school psychologist, she's a big fan of Inside Out too, because
Two,
it
but not
helps.
the first one.
And
I
she
love the
has,
first one. Didn't you cry when Bing Bong like sacrificed himself? Come
but
on.
the second one is so much better because
Okay.
you have ennui
Anxiety.
and anxiety is basically the
there's-
star.
There's
Okay.
Envy, who's has the weird film project coming up.
Right. And there's
Yeah.
nostalgia who keeps showing up randomly because my 6-year-old keeps talking about nostalgia because they say like it's too soon
Oh wow.
when you're a teenager, which kind of makes sense. The nostalgia kicks in, when you're doing a 55-year-old version of Inside Out.
Felt nostalgia as a teen.
Well,
I definitely felt like things used to be better when I was 6.
you're an old soul, But we cater to all kinds of souls here on the Popcorn Podcast. Megan Citrod, Suzanne Clayton, Grant Balfour, I'm Mike Palmer. Thanks again to everybody for listening, for following us. Let us know what you're thinking about the Oscars, and we'll be back. We'll be back again soon. Popcorn Podcast, Oscars 2025, Hackman Extravaganza.